Thank you for visiting Anderson Township. With all the wonderful things occurring in our community, we felt it important to provide you with an update on just exactly what is going on around us. This is an overview of what we'll touch on today, including the township structure, current township planning efforts, private development activity that's occurring, the township's capital improvement projects. We'll also talk about township properties, special events, and lastly touch upon the ways that you can understand better what is occurring in our community and how you can reach us on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week basis. First, let's look at the township structure. Our voters, of which there are nearly 20,000, elect 4 officials on a 4-year basis. 3 trustees are elected, and there is 1 fiscal officer who is elected as well. Those individuals ultimately work in conjunction with nearly 80 volunteers and our township administration to dictate the day-to-day activities here in our community and set broad-reaching policy guidance. There are 3 departments for the township. One is planning and zoning, another is public works, and the final is fire and rescue. The township contracts for police services through the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department. Let's next look at township planning efforts that are currently underway with the Anderson Township Comprehensive Plan Update. Anderson Township adopted its first comprehensive plan in 2005, which was updated in 2011. This year, we begin another 5-year update to this planning document, and the steering team was formed earlier this year and began meeting in March. The planning process will take much of 2016, but it's hoped that the adoption process will commence later this year. With this effort, there will be many opportunities for public input and involvement, and we encourage you to be part of this important update to the township's vision for the future. Next, Town Center Way upgrades. Town Center Way is the roadway formerly known as Ring Road, or surrounded what was once the Beech Mountain Mall and now the Anderson Town Center. With redevelopment at that site, this roadway has taken a greater level of significance for not only moving traffic, but also moving vehicles and pedestrians around what will become a new Anderson Town Center. The township's planning efforts are working very closely with other private redevelopment activities in that area, namely those of the Hemmer Group, which owns the Anderson Professional Center office buildings, which are currently expanding, Victory Investment, who owns the Anderson Town Center, which is currently under redevelopment, and Kroger, which will be expanding their footprint later this year as well. Again, while we are planning at this point in time, much of the construction work, at least for the township's portion of this roadway, will not begin until 2017. As I alluded to earlier, there's a lot of activity occurring in our community. This is highlighted by various private redevelopments. Let's take a look at some of those now. First are completed developments, and you'll see on the slide before you, many of these have been concentrated in the Anderson Town Center area with Pyology, Top This Donut, and Karma Hot Yoga. However, there's been redevelopment in other areas along the corridor as well, including the intersection of Beech Mountain and Witt, which is now home to Coldwell Banker, Silver Ladle, and Dewey's, all of which opened in the last 6 to 8 months. Further up the roadway near Pamela, on the north side of the roadway, the redevelopment of the property at 8460 Beechmont is now home to Benjamin Moore Paints, Buckeye Running Company, and CPR. These touch upon some of the many other new developments that will occur here in the community in the coming year to year and a half. Some of those developments are outlined here with regards to new construction. First, near the intersection of Markley and Beechmont will be a new 2-story skyline development with offices atop this. This property will actually be located west of the current skyline facility and will take upon 3 properties that were once home to Forest Hills Family Care Center, Concord Custom Cleaners, and Edward Shoes. Those properties will be redeveloped into a new 2-story building, which the developer worked closely on the township on to help lay out the property and also the building materials and the placement. We are excited this will become the new spirit of development in that area so that as other properties change, they will follow suit. Other new construction that's underway is highlighted by the Al Nair office development, which is an approximately 40,000 square foot 2-story building behind the McDonald's located at Beechmont and Wolfangle. This was formerly home to Eastern Hills School of Hair Design and other properties, including land owned by Anderson Township. Along Town Center Way, 1 Anderson Place is a new apartment community that is planned for the site just north of the old Kmart between that location and Anderson Center. Of course, our Forest Hill School District is well underway with their redevelopment properties as well, including new construction of Wilson Elementary on Little Dry Run. Ground will be broken on that project in May and is anticipated for completion by the fall of 2017. We touched upon this earlier, and we'll talk a little bit more later about Anderson Town Center redevelopment, but that work is currently underway, as soon will be the Kroger addition and redevelopment near Wolf Angle Road. Finally, we've got Anderson Hospital, which has been under construction for a little over a year now with their patient tower addition and other work. That project will wrap up later this year. As far as building modifications, a number are underway and have been completed, one of which is the Tri-Health, which is 7991 Beech Mountain, next to their current urgent care, where they added offices in that location, across from the Beech Mountain Avenue Fire Station. Fitworks has moved across the street as well into the center behind Arthur's. They are giving way to a new Fresh Time Farmers Market, which is moving into their former location behind Applebee's. Of course, Crunch Fitness will be occupying a portion of the former Kmart at the Anderson Town Center. And the Forest Hill School District is well underway with their reconstruction and remodeling project. Currently, there are several schools that are under construction. A couple more are planned, and all will be under construction by this summer. Of course, you've got to make a mess to make a cake, and we'll talk a little bit about what that mess will become. The mess is already pretty evident if you look at the Anderson Town Center with redevelopment activity that's well underway since last fall. The image before you shows the concept for development on the site and the site plan. The buildings that are shown in gray are existing buildings. The buildings shown in orange are buildings that are planned, as well as the building which is in blue, which is the Kroger addition. If you look to the northern part of the site, you have the theater development, Ovation by Carmike, which is well under construction, and that will be located to the north of a new streetscape area, which will be extended. The clock tower will be moved from the circle in that area down to the circle between Moe's and Top This Donut. Other buildings will be installed, and the former Kmart will be redeveloped to create a new east-west streetscape in that general area. There will also be a new building where Fridays was located to continue the streetscape there, a new building proposed behind Fifth Third Bank to help create that streetscape environment going out to 5 Mile Road, and development on the north side of Macy's with a building up against the current Macy's facility, much like what was done with Carrabba's and other developments about 10 years ago on the other side. There have been some changes to the original site plan. The buildings that are shown here with X's on them are no longer being proposed. Instead, the square footage for those areas is being proposed to be relocated to the southern part of the site, where buildings are proposed along the driveway coming in from Beech Mountain Forest into the streetscape area. There are buildings proposed on either side of that boulevard area out in front of Moe's and Top This Donut. Otherwise on the site, if you look back to the north, you have the development which is Anderson Professional Center. They are proposing a one-story addition to accommodate a user that would basically connect the two buildings, which would be Tri-Health. They're also in the process of installing a new parking garage. To the east of that building as well will be a 3-story parking garage, 1 level beneath the ground, 2 levels above the ground. Building to the right is the One Anderson Place development, which is proposed to be approximately 190 apartment units on the hillside with about 7 stories in height, including a 3-level parking garage. It will be a kind of below grade. Circling our way around that site, you have the Kroger expansion, the 50,000 square foot addition that will again make this one of, if not the largest Kroger store in their chain, and the Shops in Anderson Town Center, which is a Kroger development here out on the corner, an outlot development that will feature a number of fast casual restaurants as well as some other smaller retail uses. If you notice on this map, Town Center Way, which we talked about earlier, formerly ran right along the side of the Kroger store. That will be relocated, actually will be closed, and what will be created is a new roadway. This Town Center Way will come down to the bottom of Bowen, and Bowen will go up, as it currently does now, to Wolf Angle Road. There will be a traffic signal at Wolf Angle. There'll be a new driveway for the Kroger development right out across from Arlington, which will be a right-in, right-out driveway, and there'll be improvements to Wolf Angle Road in that area. We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. In addition to the retail development and office development, we are now seeing a emergence of residential development through some new subdivisions. The first 2 subdivisions, Foxbrook Place and Hunter's Run, were approved a couple of years ago and built out as well underway there. We also have several subdivisions that were proposed in the last year or so. These are Estate at Chestnut Ridge off of Eversole Road, Nordyke Estates near Nordyke and Cazo, the Woods of Forestville, Park Place and Parkside at Riverview Estates, which are down in the area around Coldstream Country Club, Ayers Road, and Hopper Road. The township went approximately 6 years from about 2007 to 2013 without any new residential development. So we are seeing somewhat of a catch-up underway with regards to development activity in that area. Now let's shift to current capital improvements that the township is facilitating, and we'll go through these projects a little more in detail. First is the Downtown Anderson project, and we talked about this earlier with the Kroger Redevelopment, but this is an area from the Anderson Town Center heading east to Asbury Road along Beech Mountain Avenue. The township, in conjunction with property owners and our Beech Mountain Corridor steering team, created a plan for this area back in 2013 that actually won the countywide planning award that year. Soon thereafter, we acquired funding for construction of improvements to the roadway, and those are planned for 2017. Essentially, those will involve a narrowing of the roadway. The roadway is currently approximately 70 feet wide, and it will entail the use of the existing shoulder space and a slight narrowing of the lanes to install sidewalks and other improvements in the public right-of-way that complement the new style of development in that area, which are buildings close to the roadway, parking behind the buildings to provide a more aesthetically pleasing and just a different nature of development in what we call downtown Anderson. It's ultimately hoped this will spread maybe as far east as Nagle and as far west as Salem, but initially we're concentrating it in that area. This slide gives a little picture of what we're anticipating this to look like. Again, you'll see a lot of the same type of improvements that we've seen down along Clough Pike will be introduced in this area. Where possible, we'll have landscaping behind the new sidewalk. We'll have street lighting, new traffic signals, other improvements along the roadway in that area. Where we don't have the ability to do landscaping, we'll be looking at small barrier walls to provide screening and separation between the parking lot area and the pedestrians out along the sidewalk. We touched upon this earlier as well. This is the Kroger Redevelopment at the corner of Beechmont and Wolfangle on the northwest corner. This is very much in concert with what the township was envisioning in our downtown Anderson plan. Includes a streetscape kind of plaza environment out along the corner. This will be sunken somewhat because of the grade or the elevation change between Beechmont and the store. So this will sit down several feet, which will actually provide a more intimate space. It's envisioned that there'll probably be restaurants in the two buildings next to that would have outdoor dining and spill out onto this patio area. There's also proposed to be a patio area on the other side of these buildings, that on the parking lot side, or where the building is located, the north side, that will provide a little quieter type of outdoor environment for some of the shops that front that area, as well as the parking lot coming in for most of the people that would be driving into the center that way. Again, this will provide a greater streetscape appearance. It will screen a significant amount of parking from that roadway and really help to anchor that corner of the intersection. As far as Anderson Trails, we are in the midst of some pretty huge projects coming online, one of which is the Little Miami Scenic Trail. It's a just over 3-mile segment that will officially open third week of May with a ribbon cutting on May 21st. This is a segment from the Little Miami Golf Center along Newtown Road, down through the village of Newtown, through Clear Creek Park, along State Road 32, down through Anderson Township, Greenspace, behind the Speedway area, and ultimately terminate at the trailhead there next to Speedway, which was formerly owned by the city of Cincinnati, now owned by Great Parks of Hamilton County. This is a project that's been underway, design and construction for several years. We're very excited to see this come online. It will leave us a stone's throw away from connecting over to Lunkin. Unfortunately, that's to be a fairly expensive stone throw to get underneath the 32 ramp system and over the bridge at Beechmont on the Little Miami River, but one that we are currently working with other entities on possible grant funding to help advance that final link to this network. Another project that has been underway for a while has been the sidewalk proposal on the east side of Wolfangle Road from State Road down to Beechmont. This will utilize grant funding that came from the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana Regional Council of Governments, and construction of this we are anticipating to start in June of this year. The project is currently out for bid, and it will time well with a lot of the other changes going on in that immediate area. Another project that's now officially underway as far as construction and utility work was occurred most of 2015 is the Beech Mountain 5-mile continuous flow intersection. Again, this project has been planned for nearly a decade. A lot of work went into trying to create access roadways and other improvements prior to construction. Those are all now in. And this project has three major goals. One is to help reduce traffic congestion. We're very fortunate that traffic has dropped a little bit in recent years. However, with all the development that we just talked about and that you'll see here shortly, that traffic is going to spike again. And so being able to have something that plans for and accommodates that future growth is critical. The second is the most dangerous types of accidents that we see, which are left turn movements. This will relocate those left turns from 5 Mile to Beech Mountain. And in essence, what it will do is shift those to the outside of the roadway that allows both the left turns, straights, and rights to go at the same point in time, and you don't have that crossover conflict, which leads to some issues in that area. Another aspect of that is that a lot of folks, unfortunately, tend to maybe push the light or run the lights, which causes those accidents as well. So our hope is by reducing delay, we'll decrease the inclination to perhaps do that. While the improvements are focused along 5 Mile Road, the actual project and the nature of the project gives more green time to all turning movements. So we'll have significant impacts on Beech Mountain Avenue utilizing the 5 Mile side of that intersection. Third major benefit is this type of intersection allows for pedestrian connections and pedestrians to cross the intersection. There'll be a series of median islands. It may take 2 traffic signals or so to get across, but it'll allow those folks to get through the intersection safely from those nearby residential areas to the many destinations that we see in that area. Again, the project is underway. It's scheduled for completion by the end of 2016. It will have travel delays and traffic delays, but we're doing our best to help mitigate those with advanced warning to motorists. This is a snapshot of exactly what we're talking about in that area with regards to development activities. We've touched upon most of these projects. There are approximately 14 projects underway within a half mile of that intersection. That totals about $165 million of investment, which is a tremendous improvement to that area and one that we feel really help to solidify the future center of Anderson Township. Each of these has its own unique challenges, and we're working through those. The other challenge we have is that there's not one overarching entity that is coordinating all this work. Township's doing our best to facilitate those communications between private owners and public agencies, but there's a lot of communication that will help to make this all work smoothly. You'll also see some construction projects on roadways that are parallel to one another, such as on 5 Mile and on Wolf Angle. That will, getting back to the cake analogy, that will make a mess. We hope folks that will do their best to avoid that area unless needing to get into one of those businesses during the construction period. But our hope is that most of that more difficult type of situation, or the mess, so to speak, will occur between now and the end of the year in a fairly concentrated 6-month window. But we're very excited about what the future of this area is. We touched a little bit on the schools as well with Anderson High School and their redevelopment, but all this helps to pull that together, and there are actually projects that continue to come online that we'll be adding to the slide in the coming weeks and months. Before we wrap up with our update, it's important to talk about just township property, one of which is our Greenspace program. Again, this began in 1990. There's no longer funding that goes into the Greenspace program, but we do have about 700 acres in caretaking that will be permanently maintained as Greenspace and are inspected and monitored as far as issues or problems that we have there. So these are properties that are certainly open to the public, and we encourage folks to get out and enjoy those public green spaces as well as our township and county parks that you see on this map here. The township is very fortunate to have nearly 20% of our land dedicated as open space or parklands. Most of that is public. There are some private golf courses and such, but it's truly an asset to our community. As far as special events, the township is still very active, and our special events postcard has been sent out and will arrive in homes here during the month of April. We are looking forward to continuing many of those, including the Farmers Market and the Anderson Parade and Jack-O-Lantern Walk and Party in the Plaza series. You can learn more about all of those on the township's website or at the Anderson Center Events website as well. These certainly complement the other events that are coordinated by other groups in our community, whether they be the Anderson Township Park District, the Great Parks of Hamilton County, Forest Hills School District. There are just many wonderful opportunities and events that go on an annual basis, and you can learn more about those, again, on our website or through the township newsletter, Anderson Insights, which comes out quarterly. I'd like to thank you again for listening in today and your interest in what's going on in the Anderson Township. Again, this continues to change on a very frequent basis, and we encourage you to like us on our Facebook page at Anderson Township, Ohio, or visit our website at www.andersontownship.org. www.andersontownship.org. Of course, you're always welcome. If you can't find information there, or you're having trouble navigating those, you can call the Township 688-8400, or you can email the Township as well. My email address is listed there, Steve Severs. I'd be happy, if I can't answer your question, to direct you to the right personnel. So again, we very much appreciate your interest in our community and all the wonderful things that are ongoing, and encourage you to check back for future updates as we have them. Thank you.